Welcome to the West Wing Week, your guide to everything that's happening at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This week, the president repeated his call for Congress to extend emergency unemployment insurance for more than 1 million Americans, and announced the first 5 of what will be 20 promise zones to help change the odds for kids as the war on poverty turned 50. And as a polar vortex descended on much of the country, the president's science advisor explained why. That's January 3rd to January 9th, or
This is
a
going to
year
be
of
a
action.
year of action. That's what the American people expect, and they're ready and willing to pitch in and help.
On Sunday, the president and his daughters returned from their holiday break, arriving at the beginning of the cold front that brought record-breaking cold, along with the polar vortex, to much of the country. Here to explain the phenomenon is the president's science advisor, John Holdren.
As the temperature difference between the Arctic and the mid-latitudes declines, the polar vortex weakens, and it becomes wavier. The waviness means that there can be increased, larger excursions of cold air southward, that is into the mid-latitudes, and in the other phase of the wave, increased excursions of relatively warmer mid-latitude air into the far north.
On Tuesday, the president spoke again on the urgent need for Congress to extend emergency unemployment insurance for more than 1 million Americans, like Catherine Hackett, a mother of 2 sons in the U.S. military who is actively looking for work and has been forced to cut back on necessities like food and home heating.
I can't name a time where I met an American who would rather have an unemployment check than the pride of having a job. The long-term unemployed are not lazy. They're not lacking in motivation. They're coping with the aftermath of the worst economic crisis in generations.
West Wing Week caught up with Catherine Hackett, who had introduced the president in the East Room, to hear from her about the urgent need to support rather than ignore those looking for work.
I am here today as an American, and that's a very, very special thing to be, as an American, and be able to voice my opinion and to be able to stand with the President of the United States and introduce him. And that means to me that he really cares about people like me.
Wednesday marked the 50th anniversary of President Lyndon B. Johnson's declaration of a war on poverty. Here to give us some historical perspective is Deputy Press Secretary Amy Brundage for the latest installment of This Day in History.
This week marked the 50th anniversary of President Johnson declaring a war on poverty. Over the past decades, we've seen a lot of progress fighting poverty, and we've seen a decline in the poverty rate, but there's a lot more work to do. That's why the president is focused on economic mobility, fighting income inequality, and ensuring that every person in this country who wants to fight for a chance at opportunity has that chance. That's why he's been focusing on extending unemployment insurance benefits for those folks fighting to find a job. That's why he's focused on raising the minimum wage so everybody who's willing to work hard has a living wage, and strengthening the middle class and those trying to get in it.
On Thursday, the president named the first 5 of what will be 20 promise zones across the United States. Inspired by the incredible undertaking of the last 17 years at the Harlem Children's Zone, promise zones are a way to partner with local communities and businesses to create jobs, increase economic security, expand access to educational opportunities and quality affordable housing, and improve public safety.
If you want to know why I care about this stuff so much, it's because I'm not that different from Roger. There was a period of time in my life where I was goofing off. I was raised by a single mom. I didn't know my dad. The only difference between me and Roger was my environment was more forgiving than his. That's the only difference. So if Roger can make it, and if I can make it, if Kiara can make it, every kid in this country can make it.
To find out more information on any of these Year of Action topics or to see complete videos of these events, go to whitehouse.gov. And thanks again for checking out your West Wing Week.
Hey guys. Hello. Everybody staying warm?
Yes.
It's a little cold. I got it. But compared to Chicago, this ball.